What happened to Luis Lopez after the events of the Ballad of Gay Tony, and will we hear about his fate in the next GTA game? Luis, unlike his two fellow protagonists from the Liberty City Trilogy, isn't really mentioned in GTA 5, and by not really, I mean not at all. As we all know, Trevor's introduction in the countryside part of the story starts with one of the biggest middle fingers to the lost and damned fans, as we briefly see the state that Johnny finds himself in 5 years after the events of his DLC, a shell of what he once used to be.
I'm about to fuck me a method, ain't I, cowboy? Get my boy sucked from his toothless gums, huh?
Fuck you, Trevor.
Oh.
I still love her.
It's a very quick and tragic ending for his character, with the last thing he ever saw being the soul of Trevor's boot. Fortunately, Nico was spared from such a tragic ending. I mean, not like he ever gets a happy ending either in his game, besides being mentioned by both Lester, who says he quote-unquote went quiet, and another time by Packy during the drive to the Paleto Bay Bank.
What is interesting is my biggest job, the Bank of Liberty City. I ran the crew. It was me, my brother Derek, God rest his soul, my pal Michael, God rest his soul, and another boy, Nico, who's probably dead too.
They're all dead. Must have been jinxed, huh?
All I know is I live to tell the tale.
He's not actually dead, as we know from his Life Invader page that he's still alive, and has left the criminal life, now working as a driver for Roman at his taxi firm. That's infinitely better than Johnny's fate. However, we never hear anything about Luis in GTA 5, and the many updates to the online mode over the past decade haven't given us much info either, with two tiny exceptions. In the After Hours DLC that was released in 2018, we see Tony Prince return to the spotlight to assist the online protagonist in the journey of opening up a new nightclub in Los Santos. Tony never directly mentions Luis in this DLC, but one other character, Jimmy Boston, who you might remember from Michael's adventure with the Epsilon program in GTA 5, mentions him during one of the jobs that you have to do for the nightclub.
Did you ever hit up Masonette 9 in Liberty City? That place was slamming. Well, the bouncer Louise was really moody.
There's also a picture of Luis that appears in Tony's office in the nightclub, which should mean that they're still on good terms and likely still talk to each other from time to time. Not much, but it's better than nothing, I guess. The After Hours update was also a pretty good excuse for Rockstar to bring back Tony Prince, as he's basically the face of nightclubs, and in his own words, he basically ran the scene of nightlife from all the way back in the 1980s. This also means that he accepted Yusuf's offer to him and Luis from the final cutscene of Departure Time, the last mission of the DLC, where he suggested they should franchise the brand of Masonette, as well as Hercules clubs, all over the world, an offer which they were initially hesitant on.
Oh, by the way, I think my father may be into franchising clubs.
I know, franchise is not the way to go. The club is all about the people.
Fuck the people! Fuck them all! Whip out your dick and piss all over them!
You're gonna go a long way in hospitality, my friend.
Another thing that's worth mentioning from the final mission of this game is Tony's initial proposal to Luis for the both of them to skip town instead of going after Bulgarian.
It's not like I haven't been in my share of firefights, Lou. By now, I'm a seasoned veteran by anyone's fucking standards.
I know that, bro. But there's no point in you coming in there. You can go off and die alone on some beach somewhere, or the desert. Like you was just saying to me, man. Leave town, bro.
Okay, then you come too. Fuck Ray Bulgarian. Fuck the mob. Fuck the loan sharks. Fuck the angry triads. The moaning celebrities. Fuck everybody, Lou. We'll leave town and start all over. New clubs. Someplace else. If I can do it, you can too.
Oh yeah, it ain't like that for me, Tone. I still got my family here in LC. Maybe you turn your back on where you was from when you was a kid. But that ain't something I can really do. The Heights, it's my home, man. Always will be. Nothing's worth shit if I can't go back there.
Luis makes it very clear to Tony that he never wishes to leave Liberty City because of the things that tie him to it, mainly his own family and friends. Luis wants to leave the criminal life that he and his two best friends, Armando and Enrique, have all been involved in for basically their whole lives. And going into the legitimate business of managing nightclubs is pretty much the entire plot of the game. Seeing as Tony left Liberty City in 2018, or perhaps even earlier than that, it's basically confirmed that Luis stayed behind and is the owner/manager of both Masonette 9 and Hercules, meaning that he finally managed to accomplish his goal. So I guess at least one of the three LC protagonists have a good ending after all, and I'm happy for him. Another very interesting character that many fans of the DLC loved and have wanted for him to make a return to the franchise is Yusuf Amir. who was introduced 5 years after Tony's reappearance in the 2023 DLC called the Chop Shop Update. Although his appearance this time around was much more tame in comparison to many of his scenes from the Ballad of Gay Tony.
Yo, 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 yo! There you are, my homie! But Yusuf Amir in the house!
His initial tease left many fans wondering if we were gonna hear anything about Luis this time around. Unfortunately, that wasn't really the case. And to be fair, it was a pretty wasted opportunity on Rockstar's part. Again, it is basically implied that Luis is still alive and doing well for himself, away from the street life that he was desperately trying to leave during the events of his game. But it would have been very cool for Yusuf to at least mention Luis randomly at some point during the missions that you do for him in GTA Online. Seeing as Luis was also doing a lot of crazy jobs for him all the way back in 2008. Such as sinking an entire yacht using the recently stolen buzzard, fighting the noose on top of the Rotterdam Tower, then stealing a noose tank from a moving air crane and then using it to cause mayhem around the city in the hopes of losing the cops, and finally stealing a moving subway car whilst fighting the LCPD once again. In retrospect, the Ballad of Gay Tony really lives up to its GTA 4.5 nickname. The amount of crazy missions and the wacky side content are pretty on par with the current installment. But what about the future of this franchise? Is there any chance that we'll hear more about Luis, or perhaps even see him physically, in either the story mode of GTA 6 or maybe one of the many DLCs that are gonna release for the online counterpart of that game over the coming years? In a video that I've made well over a year ago regarding Huang Li and what might have happened to his character, link down below, I've mentioned that it's unlikely for him to come back, mainly because it would ruin the charm of that game, seeing as they would need to transform him from a manga-style drawn character to a fully 3D model, as well as voicing him, which is very unlikely to happen. But Luis doesn't share that same situation. Putting aside his desire to remain in Liberty City, there is the possibility that he could have a cameo in Vice City, seeing as it's the perfect setting for nightclubs and the nightlife scene in general. Perhaps him and Tony could have a small reunion, whether purely for the grand opening of yet another Masonette location in the city, or maybe other more unfortunate circumstances that force Luis to get his hands dirty once again. We've seen it with Michael, who at the age of 60 was still capable of defending the mansion alongside the online protagonist, which was pretty impressive. Since Luis was born in 1983, he would be in his early to mid 40s by the time GTA 6 releases, about the age or even younger than Michael and Trevor were during the story of GTA 5, basically still in his prime. I'm not willing to place a bet on it, but the chances of a full cameo from Luis are pretty small, but not non-existent, so we can only hope for the best. But what do you think? Would you like to see Luis return in GTA 6? And what do you personally think he's up to after so many years since the events of his game? Let me know in the comment section down below. And while you're there, also leave a like. And of course, consider subscribing if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching.